feels a little bit like 2019, a few deals in the micromobility space, and we also have some deals in the 3D digital twin. It's very interesting to see who made it out of all this hype and who's still like playing in these fields.
I think a lot of cities started building bike lanes and areas for micromobility vehicles, and this is probably driving some demand on the market. And then if you are playing in the market, you are seeing this demand, and there is kind of a lot of money.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Week in Italian Startup. Nick, how are you?
So Jack, I am great. How about you?
Very good, thanks. All right, so let's start talking about last week. It feels a little bit like 2019. We have a few deals in the micromobility space, and we also have some deals in the 3D digital twin, especially when the metaverse was still a thing. Then, not claiming that we're going to go back to that, but it's very interesting to see who made it out of all this hype and who's still like playing in these fields. So let's start by talking first of all about Blubrake. Bike tech startup raised 12 million in growth round from Algebris Climatech, Fundracer Capital, and TriStar Group from China and Growth Capital. So a few interesting elements in this deal, I think. First of all, kudos to the people in Algebris Climatech, one of the most recent fund for this year. So definitely a very good, very interesting play. So kudos to them for sure and the team. Secondly, I think that what was interesting is that it's a very interesting strategic combo of investors. So Algebris kind of working into the climate tech part. So, micromobility, green micromobility is a big topic here. Secondly, Fundracer. So Fundracer is very interesting because is a VC that is still focusing on micromobility. They have 4 portfolio companies. Everyone focused, of course, on some element of micromobility, including a new design of scooter. So still there, and still somehow people are trying to play that part. And interestingly enough, Fundracer Capital was only started in 2024. So it's a relatively new firm, still betting on micromobility, and probably that's where we see how, post-hype, the selected survivor maybe has a chance. They have a chance to actually do something interesting. What is your take, Nick?
No, I agree with you. Maybe you are beyond the hype, the top of the hill of the curve of the hype. And now, after the big bang of scooters and bikes being everywhere and parked everywhere in the cities, so regulation kicked in. But in the meantime, at least in Europe, I think a lot of cities started building bike lanes and areas for micromobility vehicles. And this is probably driving some demand on the market. And then if you are playing in the market, you are seeing this demand, and maybe Blubrake, I don't know about the numbers, but there is kind of a lot of money, and that's a signal that I think there's demand there. So I was talking with a friend. I haven't been to Paris in years, and he was telling me that the center of the city is basically all bikes everywhere. And this is very different from my memories of Paris from 10 years ago. So there's something there.
Yeah, electrification is still there. Like electric bikes are still there. Whether they're like a utility thing to move around the cities or like a luxury good, it's still uncertain. Every year is kind of like moving in a pendulum toward these 2 directions. What is interesting is that Fundracer Capital has a very interesting portfolio company working on like a high-end design electric bike, and so people are still pushing that. That's very interesting to see exactly where it's going to lead.
I don't think that's only about electric bikes. It's bike mobility at large. Cities, at least in Europe, the few that I know of are basically reconfiguring around micromobility, at least in the centers. And it's probably driving some demand. because Blubrake is not, a black swan in this market. I mean, I've seen startups, marketplaces for selling second-hand bikes. We've seen a couple of rounds recently around startups offering also. Remember the one with the innovative packaging to ship the bike to the end user?
Yeah.
So, and all of them are claiming billion euros market in Europe alone each year. So,
very interesting.
This is not a number.
Awesome. All right. So, moving to the next one, Covision Media, 3D AI startup raised 5 million in an early stage round from CDP Venture Capital, Redstone, Techshop, and a few business angels. So again, kind of a flavor from back when 3D for the metaverse was a thing, digital twin was starting. So high fidelity like product. We've seen a few companies there moving in the space. What Covision Media is doing is really blending 3D software and hardware technology with AI. So they have this like a very interesting, basically a rig that allows very high definition photography so that they can quickly and efficiently basically build high definition 3D imaging, which is great for product, great for like, showcasing physical objects. And the idea is really to bring it to a scale. So Covision is really pushing on the, it's another sort of democratization play of these kind of tools. When before it took, expensive equipment, gear, and time, and the computing effort, these guys are basically trying to make it as quickly, as efficient, and as beautiful as possible, basically. So very interesting.
Yeah, even though, I mean, I'm not an expert in this vertical. With the huge advancements in the capabilities of Gen AI platforms to create drawings and objects. This is, not an easy market to be in, I would say.
I agree.
With, comfort. But still, if you take a look at the customers and the logos on the website, you see that Covision Media is very well positioned with the brands that want stability. So that's for sure. It's a big plus. So
yeah, I mean, a few things which are interesting is also the fact that they're really working with the AI part. So it's not just the hardware, but it's also with the AI software. And from what I was reading, basically they're also working in the imaged 3D sort of play. So AI is doing, text to whatever. They're doing text to image already, and we all know the new models like Sora, they do video, etc. They're working with, getting an image and then getting to 3D as quickly as possible. So it's a very interesting addition to maybe what digital twin back in the past was not covering. Maybe with the use of AI, maybe there is an angle here which is stronger than before. Before it was just simply like a high definition rendering, which I can see the use, I can see the value, but with AI is definitely like another level. So maybe that's how you basically cross that problematic boundary. So
yeah, I agree. Yes, that's probably more. That's probably some synergies there rather than just adversarial positions.
Yeah, plus
so I was reading about the endorsement from NVIDIA.
No, for sure. Sense. And you know how bullish I am on 3D sort of immersive content. So flexing every morning with the Vision Pro when working in immersive space. What is interesting is that luxury brands are really, really sensitive to that. So, for example, in the Vision Pro, you start, the first one actually onboarding to get immersive and 3D render high definition product for luxury brands. So you have a great app from Prada. So I found myself browsing into women bags in 3D because it was fascinating. But again, maybe that's the future of shopping. Another great example.
Did you say women bags?
Yes, because the definition was insane. It was pretty sweet.
Okay.
Two other data point I think which is interesting is that First of all, there is also like a famous e-commerce app in China that basically did an immersive app where actually you can look into product as a 3D model, literally from cars to sofas and things like this. So that's maybe another way of saying it. And of course, Apple being Apple, if you immersively check out the Apple website, you can project a 3D model of the latest, MacBook Air, iPhone, whatever, in your space. So, is it coming? Probably. When? Very difficult to say. Very, very difficult to say. Depends on adoption. Depends on a lot of things. But I think there is an angle which is not usually taken, which is sort of the gaming asset angle. So high definition asset rendering. Basically that plays into all the universes from Fortnite to Minecraft to whatever the next virtual world would be, and that's just a part of it. So that's definitely there is multiple ways to play this game.
Yeah, one step away from naming the blockchain. Just this, this far away from
I was close.
Digital assets. Now we need some way to make them scarce. So
I was just about, but I had to refrain myself.
Yeah. As you said, it feels 2018 all again, 2017.
Awesome.
And maybe this is the right time. I mean, the second time is the right one.
Yeah.
Or the third, or the fourth. I'm losing count.
Very good point.
I'm joking. I mean, I'm myself. I'm long about this, but still the right format and lose me in some ways.
I agree. All right, let's mention a few other news which are interesting. Axyon AI first asset management startup raising 4.3 million in growth round from CDP Venture Capital, Green Sands Equity, Montage Venture, and a few other investment holding. So interesting enough, basically the professional investment industry is of course very sensitive to everything which is happening in machine learning, AI, LLM. And there are like a few players working in that field, and one of the Italian company that is like kind of pioneering this kind of product is Axyon. So definitely kudos to the team. Very fast-paced field, I would say. I think big players are all sensitive to whatever is happening in AI and finance, from banks to investment institutions. So I think right now is the time where all the big players are trying everything and to see who's going to be the best fit and the best for them. So it's a very prolific time, but also is a very, time filled with opportunities and openings. So definitely a good space. Competitive, for sure, very competitive, very technical, but definitely like an interesting space.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, if you think about it, it's super fun to apply AI to finance. I mean, machine learning applied to finance, it was probably the very first killer application for machine learning. And now, how do you even think about setting up an hedge fund without machine learning and PhDs that crash the numbers? But there was a lot about finding alpha in time series and weird data.
Absolutely.
And now you can mix that with a chatbot and asking, hey, if you were Warren Buffett, would you buy this stock? And you mix the two together, and it's fun. I mean, it's interesting.
It's awesome.
It's not about what Axyon AI is doing, but still, if you think about it, there's a behavioral and emerging component to picking the right stocks, and then there's the analytical and mathematical component, statistical, if you want. And you can have AI for today.
That's nice. Another great example that AI and machine learning made statistics cool. Statistics used to be very uncool but very useful, and now is cool. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, once upon a time, if you had a PhD in physics, you could only wanted to get to a Nobel Prize. And look, nowadays you can get to make a lot of money with an hedge fund.
100%.
Nice.
All right, let's quickly go over the latest M&A deals. So very interesting, companies buying companies, startup buying startups. So the Orbit acquiring Planetech, as the sort of the first substantial like M&A deal. And then K Sport acquiring Australia's sport performance tracking. So again, just to get to the pulse of what's happening in Italy, we've seen an intensification of these kind of deals. Startup buying startup merging. It works. Is a very interesting way to grow, and funded startup have been leveraging that successfully. Italian startup leveraging that in a very, very successful way. So that's a good sign, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of angles to look at this. I mean, prices are coming down because market multiples are going crazy now, and we are again down curve with public markets. All the comparables are going down. Among the startups that might find it very difficult to raise more capital. Are we entering into a new era of M&A, to generate liquidity for the funds and to, aggregate good companies into trying to build better companies, more able to survive potential turbulences in the markets and
very interesting
to
very
continue
interesting.
growing?
Yeah.
Just an open question. I've been wondering this for a few days now.
Yeah. What's the future of M&A, really? What is the future of M&A? Are we going toward like a micro M&A kind of phase, or very interesting point. Very looking forward to see how it's going to evolve for sure. All right, Nick, thank you so much. That leads us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next week.
Ciao, Jack. Take care. Ciao, everybody. See you in a week.